Recording in progress.
Nice color. I like your jacket.
Oh, thank you.
Very pretty.
It's so much warmer here than it is at the ridge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's windy up there on the hill.
All right. Well, welcome to the Idea Committee meeting of June 18th, 2025. I am calling this meeting to order at 6:09. So we have no requests regarding committee members to attend the meeting remotely. So let's go ahead with roll call.
Committee member Highsmith is absent. Oh, we still have the old here. Committee member Cole. Asha here. Committee member Mark will be here in like half an hour. Committee member Dennis.
Here.
Committee member Zoltowski.
Here.
And Chair Horton.
Here. So we would like to move up for the agenda to move up the workshop item ahead of old business to just switch those. And I think, did we want to do the announcements as well?
Move those up too.
Move
Oh,
those
yes.
up?
Yeah. Oh, okay. We can move up actually.
Did we want to move the workshop or
No,
just-
we
yeah,
can just
just the
move up
announcements, right?
the.
You could also, if you want to just do the
Announcements.
minutes and get them all fresh. They should be pretty fast.
Yeah, well, yeah, we could do all the way up and then announcements. Minutes, public comment minutes and then announcements.
Great. Can I get a first and second to approve the agenda as amended?
So,
So we're just gonna move the announcements
oh,
from the bottom to after the approval of the minutes.
I'm with it.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Who's the second, Carol?
Uh-huh.
Any nays? Any abstentions? All right, moved. Is there a member of the public wishing to make public comment?
None.
Okay. So moving on to approval of the minutes. Can I get a first and a second to approve the Idea Committee meeting minutes of May 21st, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
I
Any nays and no abstentions? Okay, so switching over to announcements, we will move to staff announcements. Can we have those Diwali request update, please?
The Diwali update is that at the last meeting, the Idea Committee did direct the staff to support the organizers for the Diwali event in the same amount as the last 2 years, which is $400. And we're going to assist with maybe fundraising with them for the latter 200 that they're hoping. So at the Day in the Park Ideas booth, we offer to have a little bit of a box. We generally have something to engage with visitors to the booth that will make it known that this is for the Diwali event. If you wanted to contribute, that's coming up in, I think, the middle of October.
do people maybe want to sell cookies or candy or anything to fundraise at maybe traditional Indian desserts? If someone wants to donate and sell and raise a little more money for Diwali.
At the Day in the Park,
Mhm.
are you thinking, Marsha?
Yes.
I also have a
Yeah.
question too. The original, I guess I got confused listening to you. Did you say that we decided to give them 400 and they want another 2? Is that? Did I hear that wrong? They want
The
600.
initial
Originally, they wanted
initial
six.
request was
Was
$600.
600, okay, and
then
then
the
traditionally we're
third-
giving them 4.
Mhm.
I got it.
This is the first year they asked for 600.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
When
that's
is Day in the
October 4th,
October?
first Saturday.
It's always yeah, it's always first Saturday in
Yeah.
October, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think suggesting that whoever's heading this event recruits people in the community to sell, some cookies or whatever they want, they might be able to fundraise a little more that way.
Do you think they need like a permit to sell food?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the Or
Kind of like a commercial kitchen, then it would be okay, like how they give out.
Oh,
cookies
you're
at-
saying it has to be in a from a commercial, yeah.
It has to be from a commercial.
Sometimes you can't just
Mm.
make a
Not
cake and
from,
sell
like,
it.
just
and-
your-
Oh, I see. Yeah, like the restaurant.
Recommendation, I can ask them.
I don't know, I was thinking samosas. I must be hungry for dinner. I was like, oh, we can sell samosas for like $5 a pop.
They would go well, I think. I'm sure that like they would sell out fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, there is that rule, I don't know, I'm not an attorney, where you can't just make in your own home kitchen, no matter
Mhm.
how good you are, and then sell them.
Right. And it's not like a bake sale in front of your house.
Yeah, and I don't know any more rules than that, but
We always had a bake sale at school
Mm-hmm.
as like fundraiser, and I don't know if this school just was not aware of that rule or.
There's probably like liabilities that the school takes on, I imagine.
Or sometimes workarounds, like you buy the token and the token is for
Like a
baked,
Liability.
yeah, for a baked good. So you're
No,
not
we-
actually buying the baked good, you're buying the token.
Yeah, we did we take cash? We took a lot of, yeah, I remember we took cash at the bake sale.
Maybe
Mhm.
you guys will look into it.
The other-
Hasn't attended a school bake sale and probably put their lives at risk, but that's been going on for years, right?
yeah,
Most people do survive school bake sale.
I don't know, it's a little different for school versus day in the park.
Versus this, like a whole town.
Yeah, I don't know, again, I'm not an attorney, but
I know the event is also like co-hosted by the mob, right?
Yeah.
The Mothers of Brisbane.
Maybe if someone is willing to ask like an Indian catering company for donation or a couple companies, that might be a good way to raise money
Mhm.
and like sell.
Or just donate the food during the event.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're,
I mean, whoever's heading that event might want to figure that out, but I think a big sale might be a good idea to make money.
Yeah, food always draws people, so.
Mm.
Yeah, they're also gonna be putting out like something on their own at the event itself, like they have in the past, so I don't think they're like really, holding it over us to contribute, the difference, but they are appreciative of the effort.
this is Park and Rec. This is Park and Rec.
Um,
No, I know, but.
And a
sit here?
group
Oh,
of
of course, sorry.
Oh, it's from them.
Yeah.
Some bold color.
Because I was just wondering where they got their, I mean,
I just finished.
where their funding comes from. I mean, I don't know. In general,
I think it's just donations.
donations.
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Mhm. Look into.
the other thing I forgot to mention was, what was really successful for us was the sign up. It's called what is it, sign up genius.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just put slots of like $40 donations of event.
Sign up Genius is great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
I really
like you
like
put
that
you put like
too.
$20 and like 10 slots for donations.
Mhm.
And that's the $200 right there. People from like the mob can donate, or people in the community.
Geez, when you're saying the mob, other things.
The mafia.
That could also be, they might raise a lot more than 200 too.
Yeah.
I guess my only concern is sort of going back to the conversation that we had last month about like giving them the full 600 and the optics of us raising money specifically for this event versus like raising money for all community events. And so I wonder if like, I like this idea, but if it's like the library stand booth could do it, or just I'm thinking about what it means
The
for like,
location would be
yeah.
at the library, so.
cause like, why would we be
Mhm.
fundraising for this particular event and not
Yeah.
others? which was like the very reason that we didn't wanna give
What-
full 600.
What was the, on that note, what was the purpose of the Diwali celebration?
Well, 2 years ago, it hadn't ever existed, so they wanted to do something for that celebration and open it up to anyone who wanted to join. And it ended up being
Oh, it's
really
a
well
party.
attended.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
party. But you know, like, I feel like I'm Debbie Downer all the time, but there's a lot of groups that are uncelebrated. You know, there's a lot that, anyway, to your point, it's just that we should be trying to not call out them. We should be trying to make them all more a member of a bigger group as opposed to celebrating this one. That's all.
Well, I think that's been, and maybe that's something that once we like get the mission and we finally move into the work plan, we can start thinking about, is that like so far our, like, almost all of the events that we've supported or like helped organize and stuff have been reactive, and we haven't really done
I
anything
know.
proactive. And so until the community has told us that there's an interest, I don't know, I don't have the capacity for Hannah.
And so that's why
Sounds
it's
But I
very
think
nice that they are.
Yeah,
doing
but
all that.
I do, to your
But-
point, Carol, I think that's why it doesn't necessarily make sense for our group to be specifically fundraising for that only
Mhm.
event. If we were to do like a fundraiser, I think it would be for like cultural events writ
Mhm.
large.
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
and then
it's
maybe
a-
more will
that's a
come in
really-
that
That's a
can go
nice
to
idea,
other-
especially if when we get our mission statement or something like that, we could do something that is, that draws from lots of different types of organizations
Mhm.
and what we're trying to stand for without using the nasty
Mhm.
letters that we're not allowed to use. I wish I had brought this to you. This was a full page ad in the New York Times about women and DEI and blah, blah, blah. But I ripped it out and I left it on the couch, so, oh well, I'll see it next week.
All right,
And then
well,
for announcements, so I'm just gonna pass out some of some of the community events, just so we can move on to the next item, but there's kind of flyers here from the Bay Area Community Health Advisory Council, the Black History Museum and Learning Center, the Dominique Hoskins, and then the Juneteenth calendar.
Yeah, Dominique Hoskins Museum is open on Juneteenth tomorrow, so this in downtown Rebel City. I also heard about an event that the county's holding on the weekend, the 21st, Saturday. In Redwood City, so it's a festival from I think 10 to 2 in celebration of Immigrant Heritage Month, so a lot of resource booths, food, information, resources are gonna be at that event, so. Cool. I've been to that before, it's really.
Where is it?
eye-opening.
Where is the
It's right
museum?
in downtown on Jefferson, Redwood City.
Oh, Redwood City, okay.
Mhm.
It's very cool.
That's it for
That's it.
announcements.
great. Any member announcements?
I'm
Okay.
sorry I was late.
Me too. Thanks for being here. Okay, so moving on to old business, we can dive into the mission and hopefully finish this part of the meeting with the mission. Can we have the staff report, please?
All right, sure, so. We should to, just this page that talks about how at the last meeting, in May, talked about, having there be a revised, mission and ask for committee members to submit feedback during, the month, so we could look at it at tonight's meeting. Thank you for, our chair for sharing some framework with, us of how to, just consider a vision, also mission and principles. And also remember Zoltowski for submitting her, recommendations based on where we left it, as a group. And so we've taken the submittal and the framework and put them into the three categories, vision, mission, principle. So we can just go through, starting with the vision, which is a Brisbane where every individual belongs and diverse voices shape a thriving, connected, and inclusive community. So that's the aspiration. The mission of how IDEA contributes to that vision is the City of Brisbane's IDEA Committee strives to develop and support a community where everyone feels welcomed, valued, and empowered to participate fully in community life. The principles are not to replace the letters for IDEA, but just kind of worked out to be IDEA principles, where everyone belongs. We honor the diverse voices that shape our city, where all are respected and interpersonal connections are valued. Dignity, everyone has worth. We affirm each person's inherent value and create space for individuals to be their authentic selves. Empathy, understanding starts with listening. We encourage care and compassion, especially across differences. And lastly, awareness. Our actions matter. We stay mindful of their impact, take responsibility for fostering connection, and nurture a community where people can be who they are with dignity. And this stayed as is. Brisbane truly belongs to everyone, all voices, one Brisbane. What? Any thoughts on where we've landed now?
I think it's good.
I think it's good too,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's good.
It encompasses a lot of things.
I think it's pitched at a level where we won't have trouble conveying what we're trying to say. It's right where it should be. And it's funny that it does come out to IDEA, but I don't feel like that's a poke in the stick of the, things we're trying to avoid because of the way the world is at the moment. I like it. I think it's good.
We could switch it to AIDE, so it's like we're aiding the community.
I mean, if you wanted,
No, I'm kidding. I'm just thinking of word games in my head.
we could do that.
No,
I
I
mean,
think it's fine. Yeah, no, I like it. I think it,
or you could just take out the IDEA. I mean, if you really want that nervous about it,
No. I think, and I do think that it, Caroline, you had mentioned something about like bylaws, and I don't know, I don't want to like add more work for us. When I read this, like and when I think about the things that in the past few meetings that we've been like, well, we can't really do this until we have a mission. Like, this doesn't really feel like it's creating guardrails in any way, or like anything that we would have recommended or suggested like no longer fits. It feels pretty broad,
Mhm.
and I don't think that's a problem, but I don't,
I think it's good. I mean, I think it keeps us focused and it is high level. I mean, it's not about having events so much, but
Mhm.
it does speak to the principles that every group should have.
Yeah.
I think, and we can work within there. I think, anyway.
Okay. Anna, any thoughts?
I like it too. I think I agree totally that it's broad enough that, we're not constrained. And I actually like that it still says idea.
Mhm.
I
So-
think it's symbolic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it works. Great job.
As for the next item,
All right, well, I think that's probably good timing.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts?
Do we have to vote on it? I mean, what's the procedure, I guess? What do we do?
Is the next step to take it to city council? For their feedback, or?
I think that we would take this as part of like kind of
Work plan development.
the work plan.
Okay.
And then the work plan is
Oh,
with
I
the
see.
And then
council.
we'll take that to council.
Okay,
Next step would be
whatever.
work
Yeah, I
plan.
don't- you know.
So yeah, do we need to like vote on this, or is it
No, just
like
direction.
this,
is
like
good.
just like a work product?
Yeah.
Kind of, okay.
So, but the next step would be work plan, and we hope to do that at the next meeting.
All right, well, thank you everyone
Yeah, good.
for
Good
all the
job.
work to
Thank
get
you.
this
Great.
here. It sets us up, I think, pretty well. Great. All right, next agenda item. Look at us moving along. All right, so we are moving on to the general plan open space element update, and we will start with staff report. Ken, maybe you can introduce yourself as well, and then we can provide some feedback.
Be happy to. Thank you. Thanks for having me tonight. My name is Ken Johnson. I don't know that I've met you all, but I'm a senior planner here with the city. And so I'm leading the charge essentially for the open space element update. So so that's what we're here to talk about tonight, and basically to receive feedback from this committee on essentially goals, policies, and programs that were provided to you in the staff report. And that's those serve as really the foundation for the element. And then we'll come back later and put more meat to the bones on that. And we're going to see later a complete draft to respond to as well. So, I'll take just a few minutes to introduce the topic and also the schedule for the update, and then turn it over to you all for any comments you might have. So let's start with some background on general plans. A city's general plan contains its vision for its future. It essentially sets the framework for ongoing city programs and future actions. General plans have been required under state law since 1971. And the law pertaining to general plans has been updated over the years, and certain elements it specifies its scope, like the housing element is a prime example of that. Also, and contents, and also timing of updates. And the major topic areas in a general plan are referred to as elements. There are 7 mandatory elements in state law. And Brisbane also has some optional elements that were adopted into the general plan. Open space is one of those mandatory elements. Others are land use, circulation, housing, conservation, noise, and safety. The open space element covers open space, parks, and open areas. Open areas are privately held properties that might have a park-like setting, perhaps within the development, so sort of dual purpose. And there's several elements that are closely tied with the open space element, land use especially, safety, conservation, and recreation. Recreation is an optional element that the city has. And that covers essentially city programs for its residents. And as I mentioned in the memo, the housing element includes a chapter on social justice. It has reference information, especially on demographics related to social justice issues. And as mentioned in the housing element, the city does not have identified disadvantaged communities, but we still need to plan for parks and open space with access for all people in mind, regardless. So the emphasis on this element is on land resources and acquiring, preserving, maintaining land for both this generation and future generations. It can also serve as habitat, visual respite, and for recreational purposes. And it can provide for a separation from natural hazards such as floodplains. Yes.
May I ask you a question? When you refer to open space, are you talking about, I thought I heard you say that it was land that was privately owned.
Open areas are privately owned. So the open space element deals with public lands, which would be open space.
Oh, I see.
It also deals with open areas, and so we address and parks. So
the term, is it fair to say that open space is an inclusive term?
yes.
And then there's other, as you described it, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, thanks.
So in 2 years ago, 2023, the state passed Senate Bill 1425, which requires every city and county to review and update its open space element by January 2026. So just half a year from now. That Senate bill requires the open space element to address three main topic areas, and that's access to open space for all. And that again is that inclusive term, climate resilience and other co-benefits of open space, and that is to be correlated with the safety element, and rewilding opportunities such as
Okay.
habitat on the mountain kind of thing. So since the update is required by the first of the year, we're planning to bring this to City Council for adoption in the fall of this year. So it's a fairly tight schedule, and that's to follow input from this body. We've also talked to the Planning Commission, OSEC, and Parks and Rec Commission. Planning Commission will ultimately have the responsibility to make a recommendation to City Council, but we want all the committees and commissions feedback, and I'll get touched on the schedule a little bit more in a moment. So staff's memo that was provided with your packet provided a table with comparison of goals, policies, and programs that were adopted in the general plan in 1994. And that's compared to those that are now proposed. And it's all been essentially reorganized in that table to more closely follow state law, since state law has changed quite a bit, a lot more detail since it was adopted in 94. And so my intent is not to read through all those, but if needed, I think staff has the table or the report if you need to pull anything up, and we can also we can pull anything out and talk about that specifically. So I highlighted on that table in green, chapter 4, which is refers to access for all. And so those are, I think, the core at what this body is about.
What page is that?
An attachment 20.
So there's a there's a table that has
On this page 7 of the attachment.
right. So this column here is essentially what's proposed. This is the reference to state law, and then this is the comparison. So this third column is essentially jumbled up, or this is the organizational column, essentially following state law. So, and where policies or programs have essentially fallen out because they've been completed, are essentially listed at the end of this table. And there's just a few, most of them are ongoing. An example would be 1994, OSEC didn't exist yet, and the general plan said we're going to create a body to advise us on these issues. And so that's been done, but we changed that program to continue that body to provide input. And of course, this body is new too now, and so we want your input as well. I think that's most of it that I was going to talk about. So schedule-wise, once I have your input, I already have input from the other three bodies now, and I will essentially put a more complete draft together and then put that out to the commissions and committees and any comments that you have. If you'd like me to come back, I can, but there may not be a need at that point, but I definitely will be providing that report, that draft element.
Can somebody resend that at least to me? I've seen it, but I haven't.
Yeah.
No, I know what you have now, but I mean, so that I can look at it, and that would be great. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So I'll take feedback tonight, but if there's follow-up, I'd be happy to take it after tonight as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to the committee. Any questions or comments?
I had a few comments on just some of the
Okay.
things there, and I read through all of them, so They're not also the green parts.
We're not supposed to- Yeah, you're not, sorry.
I know, I was like, I was
Not
reading through it, I'm like,
supposed
oh,
to look
green,
at
that's
that.
probably important, that probably means something. They're all really small, I think generally, you know, given like the size of Brisbane and the fact that like there hasn't been any sort of identified like big issues around access. Just one thing on for program 2C8, the annual letter to property owners. Just a recommendation to have that available in different languages.
I'm sorry. which-
Yeah, sorry, on page 18 or page 4 of the attachment.
Mhm.
And then program 2.C.8
Gotcha.
is about sending out an annual letter
Mhm.
for potential open space. And so just making sure that that's available in multiple languages. And then I had a question about for goal 4
Mhm.
for 4A1. At the end of it where it says, let's see, shall not authorize or approve the relinquishment, abandonment, or release of any open space dedication unless there is a finding of a compelling override public interest and public benefit to be served thereby. And I was just curious like what processes or systems would be in place to make sure that that public interest and public benefit is equitable and it's not for a certain part of the public
Mhm.
versus all the public, and just making sure that that is in the consideration of like what public benefit is that it really is
Mhm.
for everyone.
Right, so I see this as a safety net kind of
Mhm.
program
Got
that it's pretty highly unlikely, I
Okay.
think, that
Yeah.
city council would attempt to convert dedicated open space back to urban uses, but still wanted to have it there.
Yeah.
That being said, so it would go through council
Okay.
through a public process to
Mhm.
make sure they got public input
Okay.
before making any kind of decision like that. And knowing Brisbane's passion or open space, I think
Yeah.
they would.
Wouldn't
probably
get very far.
input.
Does
Yes,
the full council have to be in agreement before something like this was changed?
I believe so, but I'm not 100%.
It came up
Trust you.
like recent purchases.
We recently had
Mhm.
open space purchases in the Brisbane Acres, so that probably.
Yeah, so kind of
So
hard to undo.
I have a question too. You mentioned earlier, I think, I heard you say that there hasn't been any identified sort of special groups within the city, and that could be cultural or ethnic or however it was being defined. If that's the case, then how are we certain with the work that you're doing that in fact we're taking care of everyone in the city? Because it just flies in the face of common sense that we are not a homogeneous community, period. You just go out there and you can see
Right.
that we don't, or just all different. So I guess I don't understand. I don't understand what we've done. If there's not an identified group, like
Mhm.
a block or so where you could go talk to whoever is a group, how are we making sure that we are taking care of the diversity in something like this? I'm very curious because I just don't know. It'd be great if we had a part of town that was unique to a particular group, but we don't.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'd be curious to hear your thoughts.
So a couple of things come to mind. One is, I think Brisbane is so small and it's essentially, so it's that those numbers, I'd have to delve into them deeper to understand all that's in that appendix of the housing element. But I don't think the measure that they use to identify those per state law necessarily cut fine enough detail to
I see.
really get at what you're after. So,
I see.
so I think it's real clear. One could look at the homes, for instance, that exist in the lower portions of Brisbane versus what exists up on Humboldt or Kings or any of those upper streets. And there's a definite difference
Correct.
in income
Huh?
there and what people can
Sure.
afford. And so I think then to answer it, it becomes kind of so the program and policy language, what we've tried to do is create it broad enough that as things come up, that the city is cognizant of those issues and is really thinking in that finer grained detail on a case by case basis as, say, purchases of land come up or improvements to parks and access.
But might not we say that? Not with the specific example, but with the statement, and again, I don't have it in front of me, that there is not one sort of designated group for our diversity, but couldn't we put in that statement that says, because of that, we are going to keep, I'm making this up here, keep open the option to revisit particular items that come up relative to this, to assure ourselves that we are taking care of folks. Like, we'll take a second look. You don't need to put all that in there, but I'm just saying that to give the people that come after us that says, well, it's true, it's not unique, but we are still gonna give ourselves the stake in the sand that says you have to look. Just because you did it once doesn't mean you don't have to look again. If something comes up that bears looking into.
Well, I think I got what
Yeah, somewhere in there. I think
what
it's
you're
just,
after.
it was right after what came up to me was when you said that there isn't a group, and then you went on to, you could just say to assure ourselves that this is a living document. And you could get as wordy as you want about it, but that it's designed to be evaluated should the circumstances require it. To make sure that we are following, et cetera. Again, I'm just talking off the top of my head here, but I think that would be a good thing to give it some teeth.
Right.
And of course, the lawyers would probably kill me, but it's all right. It wouldn't be the first time.
So are you,
Maybe it has to do that with that page 15 goals. With just the introduction.
I mean, it doesn't have to be specific to one thing. In fact, it belongs with an introduction to a prelude or something, however the documents say that.
which goal are you looking at?
Oh, the element.
Just the new goals. The
Mhm.
city of Brisbane will be a place, and then maybe insert something.
Well, I think actually when it says open space planning is long range and comprehensive, that could include recognizing that you will continue to take stock of what the current
Yeah,
situation is.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Carol, maybe it feels like what you're trying to say too is that because we are smaller than the denominator that the like state requires us to look at, like we will never show up. The diversity of Brisbane will never show up because our N isn't big enough. And so is there a desire to like look at it through a finer lens, or is it okay to just say, well, we met the state requirements, so that's fine?
well, but that's the key issue here. So I realize we're small and all of that. And I think, this is my personal preference, I would like to say, you're not gonna say, well, we met the preference, so we're done. I would like us to still say, it's designed to be reevaluated should the conditions permit, and not know that the state's not gonna get worked up because we fit the bill. That's what I would like. But if the team doesn't feel that, that's okay too.
I think I'm saying something different. I'm saying that like because Brisbane is so small, unless the state changed the like size that they were looking at for diversity, like we would never rise to that level. So if we
know.
wanted to use a different lens for this or for the housing element or for anything, we would need to like have a different.
And I think we're not saying anything different, because I agree, the state's not gonna come and get us, so to speak. But that doesn't keep us from putting in something like this as a prelude in the beginning, like not part of all the
Mhm,
stuff that's
mhm.
required
As a
because the legal
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know, this could be one sentence or two at the very top that says something, you know.
And I think what you're getting at goes to the kind of overarching aim of the element is to make sure that nobody is left out
Yeah, yeah,
comes to access. And,
correct.
and,
That's correct. And it doesn't hurt us to say that without, I'm not poking a stick at the state or anything. I think
Mhm.
philosophically, we're all trying to do the right thing. And you're right, they won't mess with us probably because we're too tall too small, unless we do something that's really crazy, you know, they
Right.
can't ignore it, but it doesn't hurt us for us, for the community, and when the council looks at it, to have it be upfront, where this is not gonna go away just because we're taking care of the stuff that's unpleasant the state makes us do.
and perhaps a good bit of that is captured within the text that we add to it, that
Yeah.
we
I
explain.
think you could put it someplace that's innocuous,
Mhm.
but still says it, whether I just suggested the beginning, but if it's a better place for it,
No, I think the
Not gonna
beginning
argue.
makes sense because it is really an overarching.
That's all. I think we're all saying
Good.
the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, good, thank you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, questions? Well, if
I have
more
a
comes
question
to
actually.
mind,
How does
yes.
this all fit with the timeline of like the quarry development?
Yeah, I don't, I'm not sure what the quarry development timeline is exactly. I'm not sure if anybody knows because they still have to get through the EIR. So similar for the Baylands.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
So they could go concurrently,
Mhm.
and I think the language in here is broad enough
Mhm.
that it could work still, you know, that it wouldn't necessarily require this to be updated again after the quarry is developed, assuming it's approved. Also, just kind of a little bit of background. So way back in around 2006, 2007, the city started a more holistic update of the general plan, all of the elements, and then the Bayland specific plan, the first one, was submitted by the owner's team, and it was would be such a big change to Brisbane. It was decided to kind of shelve that overall update of the general plan until that played out. I don't think anybody thought it would be nearly 20 years later. But I think it's safe to say that once the general plan or once the Baylands plays out more, I think city council will be looking to do more of a holistic update of the general plan. So that's probably coming in the next few years, I would guess. So
Is it a have to do general plan? I know that our city manager mentioned that general plan hadn't been looked at in some big chunk of change. Do we have to by city charter look at it periodically, or is it called out? Does anybody know? I don't know.
I don't think it's a have to do, but I think it's something that, you know, certain elements have been updated over time. Housing is one, that's a have to do, essentially 7-year cycles. We've also got safety elements updates that have been done recently, and there's also one happening concurrent with this. Land use elements, we've had some updates to the land use in recent years. So as things come up and we need to change an element, and we'll do it, but I think I'm just saying it's likely that there's going to be a holistic change, but it would be up to city council.
Okay, I see, thank you.
Can I just recommend something for the goals, just stylistically to prevent ambiguity?
Sure. On
7 and 8, when there's like a row or a listing of 3 things, can we add an
The Oxford comma.
So live, work, comma, and visit for 7. And then for 8, open space, parks, comma, and open areas, I think is the intent.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Would you call it an Oxford?
An Oxford comma or
I've never heard
serial
that concept.
comma?
No. Oh, I know, I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I never heard it called an Oxford.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
God, the things you'll learn.
I use them just when I went.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like it. Good. Thanks. All right, well, unless there's anything else, I'll let you all carry on, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I think there's only more after we share this. Are we can provide more comments as we come in in the next.
Yes, provide them through,
Yeah, sure.
through staff here.
Okay.
and-
Sure, that was provided to, this is all in your packets, if there's,
I know.
okay. Just
Go
to,
ahead and read it. Okay. What I got from you is the agenda.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. To the work, so you use my personal email. And you send me the agenda, but I just never got this unless. I just didn't see it and I looked at it right before I came, so I don't know if I just stopped scrolling.
Yeah.
I looked at the minutes, I looked at the minutes. Sorry about that.
No, I was like, oh, I'll print this out. I'm like, 25 pages. You know,
this is one of the rare ones where there's a lot of pages.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Then definitely. You sent it with the agenda packet on. Yeah, so it's in the agenda. I put a little note to myself. Okay, bad Carol. Okay.
all right. Well, I think that's it for today. I guess the only other thing was just to confirm the agenda for next month. We'll do the work plan.
When
Is
is
that
the
plan?
next July?
July
Might be
16th.
a little
16th.
longer.
Yeah,
When you-
I am out of town that day,
Okay.
so I'll join you in August.
July 16th. Out of town.
But there is a Festival of Lights planning meeting on July 1st that I'm not sure if you make, right?
Yes, I can make the Festival of Lights meeting on the 1st, and is it gonna be here or at City Hall?
Across the street.
And remind me of the time again?
Look it up, I think it's 2:30
2:30,
on July 1st.
July 1st at 2:30. Oh, I didn't realize it was at 2:30. Let me see.
So Masha, would you be available to like provide input if I provide you the work plan information ahead of time?
Yeah, so July 1st on
Sorry,
Tuesday.
it's not at 2:30, it's at 5:30.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That works much better for me. That's, yeah, that's much better.
I have another meeting.
5:30, yeah, I'll be happy to provide some feedback.
Do you think it'll take one meeting? You think it'll take?
Like to
I think it could take 30 minutes or it could take 4 meetings. Like,
the work plan.
We'll begin the discussion on the 6th.
but that's the only agenda item. The only like item.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then with that, this meeting is adjourned at 6:58 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.